Hi friends, this is Vishal Nadabra. Welcome to a lecture series of fluid mechanics. We were discussing about the laminar flow. In previous lectures, we have seen types of flow according to the Newton's law of viscosity, which was laminar flow and turbulent flow. We had seen the characteristic of laminar flow, and then experiment performed to separate or to observe the laminar flow by Reynolds, and we have seen and derive also the governing equation of viscous fluid between flow of viscous fluid in parallel pipe and between two fixed parallel plates. Now, today we are going to learn about uh, viscosity measurement and power absorbed during the lubrication when the viscous fluid is generally used to lubricate the mechanical component which is generally in motion. So let's begin. Power absorbed in the bearing. The lubricating oil are viscous, and hence the theory of laminar or viscous flow it can be applied to the theory of lubrication. Because lubrication, all we are know as a mechanical engineer, lubrication is a very important part of an maintenance, and lubrication is must be done to avoid the friction and to wear out the two rotating member, which is in close contact. So, lubricating oil is always a highly viscous fluid. So, when viscous fluid is come into picture, we must have to consider the loss occur due to the viscosity. Lubricating is a positive thing for us, but in this case, when the power loss occurs, it is a little bit a non acceptable thing, but we have to do that. Very viscous oil leads to a greater resistance and causes a greater power loss. And if you use the light oil, then on the other hand, may not be able to maintain the required film between the metal surface, and wear of the surfaces will take place more. So it is very important to choose a high right viscosity of the fluid for the right viscosity of the oil when to choose the lubrication purpose. So let's see what happened or what is the amount of power loss in very few of bearings. Let's start with the journal bearing. Journal bearing is just a simple type of bearing which supports the horizontal shaft, and it always resists the vertical load which is on the shaft, and the lubrication is provided between the two surfaces. One surface is of the journal bearing, this is journal bearing is fixed, and another is a rotating member which is shaft. So the gap between these two is filled with the lubricating oil. So this is all the lubricating oil, or we can say oil film, because it has a dimension in terms of micron. So let's see the dimension. Journal bearing have a length L, and diameter is somewhat larger than the shaft. Shaft have a diameter D, and let's consider the thickness T is provided to between, or the layer of the thickness T is provided as a lubricating oil between journal bearing and this shaft. Let's start with the angular speed. This shaft is rotating with the RPM n. Then we get the angular speed omega equal to 2 pi n by 60 radian per second. That we can measure with the tachometer. If we see the tangential speed of the shaft, then let's consider this is the cross section of the shaft, and suppose it is rotating in the clockwise direction. And in this case, this is the velocity or the linear velocity v. Then we get linear velocity v by considering the radius of this r times omega. So linear velocity or the tangential speed of the shaft will be a v is equal to omega r. If we put the value of omega, we get the equation v is equal to pi dn by 60 meter per second. Now, as per the requirement of the Newton's law of viscosity, tau equal to mu into du by dy. So let's consider du by dy. Du is the velocity difference between two layers about which we are talking here, and dy is the distance between these two layers. So as in the previous figure, that distance between these two layers, say one is the rotating layer and another is a fixed layer, which is nothing but the journal bearing, and rotating layer or rotating member is a shaft. So the distance between this shaft and general bearing is a T here that already we have taken. And if we discuss about the velocity, then general bearing has a zero velocity, and rotational shaft, or the simply a shaft, has a velocity v. So the difference of velocity is v minus 0 divided by t. So it is ultimately v by t equal to pi dn by 60 t. So this is the velocity gradient du by dy. And because of this velocity gradient, we get the shear stress tab equal to mu into du by dy, which is a pi dn by 60 here. So according to this shear stress, we get the shear force, which is the tau times the area of surface of the shaft. So here, don't be confused. Here, the area is surface of the shaft on which the fluid is lubricated, and not the cross-section area. So here, keep in mind the area of the shaft, which must be lubricated. So here, F is equal to tau. Tau is nothing but the mu pi dn by 60t in this case, times the area on which the fluid is lubricated, which is a perimeter times the length of the bearing. So here, length of the bearing we have considered L already, and pi d is the periphery or the perimeter. So here, if we simplify this equation, we get the total shear force acting on the shaft is mu pi square d square n L by 60 t. And to overcome this shear resistance or shear force, we must have to apply some torque, which is equal to F force times the d by 2, which is equal to pi mu square d square n L by 60 t, which is nothing but the shear force time the radius at which this force acts. The radius is d by 2. So we get the total torque to overcome the frictional resistance or the resistance provided by the lubricating oil is this much. If we provide the if we have to apply this much amount of torque, then we have to apply the power equal to tau into omega, or simply a 2 pi nt by 60. So put the value of tau here, you will get the equation of, or you can measure the power absorbed in overcoming the resistance provided by the lubricating oil in the journal bearing. So this is the equation of torque we get, and by the once calculating this torque, we can calculate the power or power absorbed. So this is the equation of power absorbed in overcoming or in supplying power to the bearing. Let's consider another bearing, which is a footstep bearing. Footstep bearing is generally used to support a vertical shaft, and it will also carry a vertical load of the shaft also. So we have to add, or we have to lubricate some oil, or we have to provide a lubricating oil thin film between the shaft end or the bottom of the shaft and top of the bearing. So here we provided a lubricating oil with the viscosity mu. Let's consider the dimension of the shaft, or say radius is capital R, and the thickness of the oil film is already taken as a T. And to calculate the power, or the power absorbed by the lubricating oil, we must have to consider a small ring or small elemental ring, and we will first consider the force or the torque to overcome the resistance on this ring, and then we will integrate this equation, or the resultant equation, from r equal to 0 to r equal to capital R. So first consider the radius, first consider elemental ring with the thickness dr and a radius r. So from that, we can say area of the elemental ring is 2 pi r dr, and the shear stress acting on this area is tau, which is 2 mu into du by dy. But here u is the velocity difference. Velocity difference is this bearing is as a velocity 0 and shaft as a velocity v. Already we have seen in the previous bearing. So the difference of velocity is v minus 0. So ultimately it is v divided by t. It is the difference between two layer, or between two rotating layer, which is here v by t. So we get the shear stress tau equal to mu into v by t, and linear velocity is nothing but the omega times radius. So it is equal to 2 pi by 60 into r. Now, if we see the shear force on this elemental ring, it is a df, which is very small force, which is equal to tau into area of the ring. So tau already we have calculated here, mu into 2 pi n by 60 into r by t times area of the ring, which is the 2 pi r dr. So this is the amount of small force or very small force acting on this small elemental ring. And because of this small force, we must have to apply some torque to overcome this resistance, which is equal to df times r. So mu by 15t into pi square nr square into dr into r. So the total torque required to overcome this viscous resistance is nothing but the integration of this dt over the limit of r equal to 0 to r equal to capital R. So tau equal to 0 to r limit, and the whole equation we put here and take out the constant variable, which is mu upon, sorry, constants, outside constant term, which is mu upon 15t into pi square into n. So these all are the constant values. So we take out from this integration sign, and we have just do simply integration, which is r raised to 4 by 4, and put the value of limit. Then we get the final equation like this. And again, to overcome this or to supply this much torque, we have to apply the power equal to 2 pi nt by 60. So this is the equation of torque, in which by having the value of mu or the non-mu and radius or physical dimension, by just measuring the n, we can calculate the torque or the power absorbed by the lubricating oil in the push tab bearing. So this is the general well-known equation, P equal to 2 pi nt by 60. Okay, after this, we will see one important aspect of the flow, sorry, which is the nothing but the loss of head due to friction in the viscous flow. So let's consider the loss of pressure head. HF is given by the equation 32 mu u bar L upon rho g d square, but rho g is written as a W, which is nothing but the specific volume. And the loss of head due to the friction is given by HF is equal to 4FL square upon twice GD. So this is the Darcy-Weisbach equation, and this is the Eisen-Poiseuille formula. This both will gives us the value of head loss in both the cases. So by comparing these two equations, we get the value of F equal to 16 upon RA, which gives us the coefficient relation between the coefficient of friction and Reynolds number. So by this way, we get coefficient of friction F is equal to 16 upon RE when the fluid is laminar. But in turbulent case, or when the Reynolds number is greater than 2000, this equation will no more use. This is used only when the Reynolds number is less than 2000. So this is the loss of head due to friction in the viscous flow. Now let's have another important application of dashpot mechanism. So first understand what is the dashpot mechanism. Dashpot mechanism is generally used as a damper, or when the vibration occurs, to remove the intensity of vibration, we always use some dampers, and this mechanism is used as a damper, or it will reduce the shock waves or vibration. Let's first understand how it works. Here one outer cylinder, and in this cylinder one piston have a somewhat less dimension, or we can say there is a little bit clearance between the outer wall of the piston and inner wall of the cylinder. And this cylinder is filled with an oil of viscosity mu. Let's consider the physical dimension of this piston is diameter is d, and the length of the or height of the piston is L, and the thickness between or the clearance between the piston and the cylinder or the inner wall of the cylinder is T. So when you pull out this piston, sometimes oil or the all of oil will come into the downward direction, and all the oil are filled here. And when you push the force, or when you apply the force here, the oil which is filled in this area will go through this clearance on the opposite side of the piston. So let's have a quick review how we can measure the viscosity, or how we can decide the viscosity of this oil as per our requirement. So here for that we have to consider the equation or equation of velocity. So for that, first consider the difference of pressure and or difference of pressure of intensities between the two ends of the piston. So at this end and at this end, what is the difference of intensity of pressure? So the intensity of pressure different is nothing but the here intensity of pressure P is equal to force upon area. So here force is W, so weight force we apply on the piston and area is pi by 4 d square. So intensity of the pressure small p equal to force upon area, which is W upon pi by 4 d square, which is 4W upon pi d square. Another difference of intensity of pressure we can consider, or we can use the equation of the viscous flow between two parallel plates. So in this case, we can use the equation or the governing equation of viscous flow or laminar flow between two parallel plates, because in this case, we can consider the inner wall of the cylinder and outer wall of the piston as a two plate. And when the fluid or the viscous fluid or oil is flowing from this gap, we can see, or we can consider it as a two parallel plate. So we can apply or we can get the difference of intensity or difference of pressure between these two just by a simple equation 12 mu u bar L upon T square, which we have already derived. So by comparing these two equations, we get the average velocity u bar equal to W T square upon 3 pi mu L D square. Let's call it as a equation number 1. So we get one equation in the form of average velocity. Let's try to derive another equation of average velocity, and then we will compare both these equations. So let's consider rate of flow through the clearance is velocity times area into thickness. So area into T, say volume. So here rate of flow through the clearance or the flow rate is nothing but the area into velocity. Here we will consider average velocity, and pi d into T, it is the area or the clearance between piston and cylinder. So by continuity equation, average velocity u bar times delta T into T equal to V into pi by 4 d square. V into pi by 4 d square is nothing but the velocity of the piston. Here we have considered the velocity of the piston as a V. So as the piston moves inside the cylinder, then according to the volume swept by the piston, or the equal amount of volume swept by the piston, oil will go from one side of the piston to the another side or the opposite side of the piston. So by this way we can compare this by continuity equation, and we get the average velocity u bar equal to Vt by 4T. So let's call it a equation number 2. So by comparing equation number 1 and 2, we have W into T square by 3 pi mu L D square equal to Vt by 4T, and thus we get the value of mu as 4Wt cube divided by 3 pi Ld cube V. So by this way, we can calculate the viscosity of the oil used for this application by knowing the weight or the weight force and physical dimension of all this. Now let's have some measurement method for the viscosity, in which we will see our first method, which is the rotating cylinder method. In this method, one cylinder which is eccentric to the outer cylinder, and the both the cylinder or the gap between these two cylinders are filled with the highly viscous oil, which viscosity is to be measured. And let's have a dimension of inner cylinder is R1 radius and outer cylinder have a R2 radius, and the gap between these two at the bottom is a T or thickness T here. And outer cylinder, it is a rotating cylinder, or we can measure the or control the velocity or the angular velocity of this uh, outer cylinder as per our requirement, and we can measure it too with this end. The top cylinder or the inner cylinder, it is fixed with the torsional spring at the top, and the dial to measure the torque. So in this case, when we rotate the outer cylinder, and what is the effect of this velocity or the velocity of the outer cylinder on the inner cylinder in the form of torque, just to by we can measure it by just a torsional spring and the dial provided here, and by this way we can measure the velocity, sorry, viscosity of the fluid. So let's have a quick look on the method. So according to the Newton's law of viscosity, shear stress tau is equal to mu into velocity gradient du by dy. So let's have a velocity difference between these two, du by dy. So du, it is the velocity, velocity difference between these two cylinders, inner cylinder and outer cylinder. But inner cylinder is fixed, so it have a velocity 0, and outer cylinder have a velocity, angular velocity omega. And so by this way we can measure velocity v by calculating just omega into r. So here v by t, it is 2 pi r2n by 60t. So this is the velocity gradient, and by putting this value here, we get the shear stress tau equal to mu into 2 pi rn by 60t. And to overcome this shear stress, or when the shear stress tau is present, there is always a shear force which is equal to viscous torque. Viscous torque is equal to viscous drag, or the viscous force times the radius. So here viscous drag is nothing but the viscous force here, which is equal to mu into 2 pi rn by 60t times the radius. So here viscous drag, so it is viscous force. So viscous force is nothing but the tau into area. So this is the value of tau times the area on which fluid is filled, or the fluid is spread. So here the fluid is spread over the height h of the cylinder. So the volume of this, area of this is 2 pi r, which is the periphery, times the h. So this is the viscous force and times the radius. So it is a viscous torque times radius is r1. So by this way we get the value of viscous torque, and so viscous torque must be equal to the torque T exerted by the torque meter, and we get the equation of this as a T equal to mu pi square r1 square r2 hn divided by 50t. And if we make the capital mu, then we get the equation 15 into torque T times small t, which is the gap, divided by pi square r1 square r2 hn. So by this equation, or with the help of this equation, we can measure the viscosity of any fluid which is filled here by just knowing, or by just measuring the torque from the dial here, and velocity, which is nothing but the RPM n here, omega. So by just measuring the omega or RPM and dial T, observing the dial T, we can calculate the viscosity mu of any fluid. And all other things are physical dimensions, so that is already known. Let's see another measurement, which is the falling sphere method, in which the fluid, or the fluid whose viscosity is to be measured is filled in any cylinder, and in which one non-dimension sphere is allowed to fall from the top, and at this some level we measure the velocity when it achieve a constant velocity from here to here, and by just measuring the velocity we can measure, or we can calculate the viscosity of this fluid. Let's see. So here there are three fundamental forces act on the sphere when we allow it to fall or free fall within the fluid. One is the weight force, which is because of its mass on mass, and the buoyant force, which is because of the fluid, and drag force, which is because of the friction between these two, say sphere and viscous oil. So these three forces are act in this direction. Weight force will act in downward direction, and these two forces, buoyant force and drag force, will act in upward direction. Now let's see the amount of these all forces. So weight force is nothing but the volume into density of sphere into G. So it is the, according to the definition of specific weight. So here volume times the specific weight, which is nothing but the rho G. So it is pi by 6 d cube, which is the volume of sphere, and multiply by rho of this like a density of this sphere, and times gravitational acceleration. Now let's consider the amount of buoyancy force. So buoyancy force, it is equal to the amount of fluid displaced by the volume. Here in this case, let's consider it is an volume or any high viscous oil. Then the weight of the liquid or the oil displaced by this sphere. So it is equal to the volume of the liquid displaced times the density of the liquid times g. So it is equal to again pi by 6 d cube into rho f into g, and the drag force equation is 3 pi mu into v d. V is the velocity and d is the diameter of the ball. So after knowing this all forces, let's summarize as let's equate all these forces according to the direction of forces. Then we get Fd plus Fb equal to Ws, and Fd equal to W minus Fb. And by putting the value of all these forces here, we get the equation of mu equal to pi by 6 d cube into g rho s minus rho f upon 3 pi v d, or ultimately we can say it is g d square upon 18 v times rho s minus rho f, or difference of densities. So in this equation, to calculate the viscosity of any fluid, we just require to measure the velocity here. So velocity is the only outcome of this experiment, and all other parameter are fixed or measurable parameter. So just in this case, we can say just by measuring the time, we can measure the viscosity. How we can say? Because here we measure the velocity by measuring the time between a fixed length. Here the length is L given. This is the top point and this is the bottom point, and by stopwatch you can measure the time of sphere to traveling from top point to the bottom point. So in this case, we can say just by measuring the time, you can measure the viscosity of any fluid. So that is all, friends, today. What we have seen, let's summarize. We started with power absorbed in journal bearing and footstep bearing, and then we have seen one important application of dashpot mechanism. Then we have seen two methods of measurement of the viscosity. First, we measure the viscosity with the help of two rotating cylinder method, and lastly we have seen the measurement of viscosity with the help of falling sphere method. Okay, thank you, friends.